Hello and welcome to And Then What Happened. This is a place where we do improvised storytelling. It's being done with Neville, Shah, and I. And we've got a lovely audience over here who are with us. And if you guys would like to wave at the camera, you could. So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing a horror story. And what we need from you guys is the bare bones skeletal structure of the story, because from your suggestions we'll build whatever else has to come. Now, firstly, Baba, what should we get from our lovely audience here? Should we get names? We should get names. All right, guys, give us 4 names, any gender, 4 names. I'll make it easier. Give me the names of your childhood friends.
Yash,
Sachin,
Yash, Sachin,
Vinay,
Rahul,
Vinay, Rahul. Any women?
Keyuri.
Bani,
All right, so we have a pick. Baba, ready? I'm gonna ask you to pick a few of these names.
I
okay?
have Yash, Sachin, Rahul, Vinay, Keyuri, Bani.
All six.
So no, drop two, na?
Drop 2. Okay, so let's drop Sachin because he evokes 90s memories, and let's drop Rahul because he also evokes 90s memories. Okay, done. So we have Yash, Vinay, Keyuri, Bani. Now we may or may not use all of them, but it's good to have them. Okay. Secondly, where would you like your horror story to be set?
library,
A library. Fuck, not very nice. Very nice. Okay.
jungle,
potato chips factory.
हो गया
No,
library.
library. With potato chips maybe next time. Now, the last thing we need from you guys is give us an object that could be a part of the story.
A bag.
A bag,
A sack.
A bench.
a bench.
A lamp.
I'm surprised potato chip has not come.
Baba, bench.
Ben sounds interesting, no?
Bench sounds interesting. Okay, bench it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, we'll just recap what we have with us. The names that we're going to be using are Yash, Vinay, Keyuri, and Bani. Our story is going to be set in a library, and the object that we have is a bench. Baba, you have all the names and the things. Okay, lovely. All right, ladies and gentlemen. And then what happened?
Story starts in the 1800s. We're in very obviously British looking building, a college campus. It's hazy, it's super early at dawn, it's misty, and walking up the stairs in this mist is Keyuri. She's wearing a yellow color jacket. Under that, she's got a shalwar kurta, and she's carrying a simple hand sling bag. She's in a little bit of an urgency. You see it in her steps as she runs up the stairs of the college. You follow her as she walks through the corridors. She walks through the corridors. Corridors are, just adequately lit. They're not too bright. They're not too dark. She runs past the corridor. She climbs up the stairs, goes on the first floor, climbs up the stairs, runs up the third floor, and now she's running towards the edge of the corridor, towards the end of the corridor, where there stands a wooden door with 2 glass panes on top. She pushes open the door, and as soon as she pushes open the door, right there sits the librarian in this library. A fairly stoic figure. She sits there with her specs slightly down, and she just sort of looks up and shakes her head. Keyuri rushes past her, goes all the way back to a section of books. She opens a book, she takes a book off the library shelf, and she screams really loudly. Soon as she screams really loudly, she wakes up in her bed. We're in 2022 and Kayuri has just woken up, bright-eyed, wild, as though she's seen a ghost. The problem is, she has no idea what she just saw in her dream. Kautuk.
She wakes up to this very uneasy feeling. It's a feeling that the day is not right, that today is not your day. When she pulls the blinds apart in her room, she sees that it's a extremely cloudy day, and it feels like the weather is mirroring her emotions. It's going to be a long day. She's a student who is studying biochemistry, and she has a lot of work that she has to do. And the thing that she is dreading the most is that she has work in the library. She doesn't know if what she's experienced was a premonition, but it feels like one. She packs her bag and she heads out. She takes the bus to college. And that day, usually the bus is always packed and there's no room and she has to usually stand. But on this particular day, the bus is nearly empty. There's only one person sitting at the front of the bus, and she looks at the bus and she's just amazed that this has happened. The conductor comes over and gives her a ticket. She asks him कि आज कुछ अलग है क्या, कुछ हो रहा है क्या, कुछ लोग किधर हैं? And the conductor says, मैं नहीं जानता, कुछ तो हुआ होगा. So she doesn't think about it. She puts her earpods on and opens a book. She starts reading. When she looks back up, the bus hasn't stopped, but now there's no one in it. Only the conductor and the driver. Whoever was sitting at the front of the bus is now gone. The bus stops at her stop at the college. She gets off and she's rattled. She had asked the conductor about the person, but he said that there was no one there. She now makes her way into college, and that's when she meets her friend Bani. Bawa.
She meets Bani and she tells Bani that, she tells her about this dream that she has. And she says something very strange to Bani, because Bani is like, yeah, you've told me, but you never finished the dream. And she says, that's because the dream never finishes. It's almost that every single time I dream it, I dream a little bit more about it. This is the first time I have taken out a book that was, when I opened it, that was coated and dripping with blood. It wasn't dried up, it was blood. And that's why I screamed and I woke up. Bani's like, well, must be a nightmare, just think nothing of it. And she's like, even today when I was coming by bus, there was someone sitting. I swear I saw someone sitting. And when I asked the driver said there was nobody there. And I swear I saw, and the bus hadn't stopped. So Bani is like, okay, just maybe you thought it, you were overthinking something, just let it be. I'm like, okay. And then they head towards the library. The corridors are exactly the corridors that she dreamed, right? Like they're exactly the corridors that she had the dream of. She dreamt this as she walks through these adequately lit corridors. She climbs up the first floor, the second floor, the third floor, stands at the edge of the corridor, looks through. There's a wooden door with 2 glass panes. She and Bani walk to the door, open the library, and there in the library sits the librarian, specs down, looking at a book. She looks up, and Bani and Keyuri look at each other and look at the librarian, and then just sort of shuffle past her as she just smiles at the two of them. They get to the bookshelf and the bench that they were hoping to sit in, and they sit down, they put their bags on the bench, take out the books, and Keyuri looks at Bani and Bani looks at Keyuri and says, "She's new, right?" And Keyuri says, "Yeah, but you know what? I saw her in my dream." And Bani says, "Fuck off." She's like, "I swear, I saw her in my dream. And she was wearing the exact same glasses. And she looked at me the exact same way. The only difference is she didn't smile in my dream." Bani's like, "You're just trying to scare me. Forget it. Let's just work." Kautuk.
Bani is trying to concentrate on her studies, and she keeps looking across, and she sees that Keyuri is constantly just looking, staring steadfastly at this librarian. The librarian is new, and she's minding her up. There's nothing out of the ordinary about this librarian, and yet Keyuri can't peel her eyes off her. It's at this point that Bani shuts her book, and she looks up and she tells Keyuri, "All right, let's follow this dream of yours. Where was the book?" Keyuri snaps out of her transfixed state of looking at the librarian, and she says, "Sorry, what?" Bani repeats her question, and Keyuri says, she composes herself, she shuts her eyes, she thinks about what she had seen in her dream, and then she gets up, and without saying a word, she starts walking. Bani gets up, starts following her. She makes her way to the right, to the left, and then keeps going straight. They pass section after section after section, and then finally they reach this one cupboard. They have never been to this part of the library. Every other cupboard is labeled with the books that are there in it or the authors who have written the books. This particular cupboard, it's blank. And then with her eyes shut, Keyuri starts running her hands across the spines of these books, and suddenly she stops. It's a book with a black cover. It's hard bound and it's thick. They pull it out and it's got no title. When they open it, they see that it's a ledger, it's a diary that someone had kept. It doesn't say who it was, but there are dates and there's a very ancient looking scroll, a very old style of writing. And as they start looking at this diary, they start reading some of the entries, and the first entry says 6th June 1872. There is no respite. The rain keeps pouring and it feels like the sky mirrors my feeling. Today is the 14th day since he's passed, and I still miss him deeply. Bawa.
Kayuri and Bani turn and start walking back in the direction they came from. They walk back to the bench. As Kayuri is reading out what the diary says, it says, "This is the first time that it has not stopped raining for 3 days. Isn't it funny?" They turn the page after page, the same handwriting and the same pathos. On the 12th of June, 1872, the pen changes color. It's gone from a black pen to a blue pen. And the first words on it were, "I can't believe I met him." And Kayuri tells Bani, "I just don't understand this." And they reach the bench, they sit on the bench, and they continue reading that entry, and it says, "I can't believe I met him. The way he makes me feel, the way he touches my body, the way he caresses my hair, and the way he smells. It's exactly like him, but it's not him." Kayuri and Bani look at each other and they are completely spooked. The next diary entry says, "He's asked me to meet him in the library today. I'm very excited. I'm going to be wearing my favorite red dress with my blue scarf. I can't wait for him to meet me in the library." This is the first time the person has written the name. And they said, "I can't wait to meet my Vinay." They are completely spooked out. They shut the book. And on the bench they're sitting, it's written, "Kayuri Heart Vinay." It's inscribed into the bench where they were sitting. Bani freaks out, Kayuri freaks out. They can't believe what the fuck they've just read. And Bani looks up and taps Kayuri really hard and says, "Look." And Kayuri looks, and the librarian is wearing that red dress with a blue scarf on the table. Kautuk.
As they look at her, she suddenly looks up and she sees the book that's in their hands, and her face turns into like this. It's a mixture of anger and sadness, and she rushes over, and the two girls, they can't move. It's like they've been transfixed, because the eyes of this librarian keep staring at them, and as she stares at them, it's like they're stuck to their seats, and she's zipping over. They have this sensation that she's moving unnaturally fast. She's coming quickly towards them, and her face is getting angrier and angrier. She's pulling back her cheeks, and there's a snarl on her face, and she lands up next to them, and she takes the book and slams it shut, and she says, "It's overdue." And then she says, "How did you find this?" And Kayuri says, I can't explain it." She says, "Do you know what this is?" And she says, "I have no idea." She says, "It's overdue. You can't read this. It's overdue." And the two girls, they just nod and they're afraid. And at this point, the librarian says, "Because you've opened this, I have to show it to you." And the two girls have no idea what she's talking about. She says, "I'll show you how it ends." She tucks the book under her arm and she says, "Follow me." She leads them out of the library, and they go down these stairs and there's a narrow corridor that connects to an annex. They cross the corridor, they're in a different building now. She starts going up these spiral stairs. Now, this is an old British college, and in this old British college, there was a clock tower, and she's taking them up the clock tower. And at the top of the clock tower, the two girls are just following her as if they're in a trance. She reaches the top of the clock tower and she says, "Here, read it." And the two girls see the last entry, and the last entry says, "He wasn't meant to go. I don't know who has returned, but I know it's not him. Life cannot go on. I know Vinay is out there because I've met him, and now I shall be with him forever." As the clock strikes 12, "Vinay, I shall see you again." And just then, the clock hits 12. And with that, the book drops from the librarian's hand and starts hurtling towards the ground. And then it hits with a thud. And as the two girls lean over, they see the body of the librarian. And she's vanished from the clock tower. They rush downstairs. And as they get to the spot, they find that there is no body. There is a bench, and on it is carved, "Keyuri loves Vinay." The end.